You already understand that the way you think impacts your emotions, your actions, and your results. Today, we're going to explore a way that will make your thoughts more productive. The core idea behind the subject of limiting beliefs is not whether those beliefs are true or false. It's about whether those beliefs serve you or hold you back. If you think in a certain way and it helps you to achieve your goals, amazing, keep it in your mind, don't stop. But if it makes you stressed, if it makes you feel bad, if it makes you postpone, procrastinate, if it makes you not follow through your goals or your dreams, if it makes your relationships crappier, you should probably change it. I mean, you can keep it too, but I think you should better change it. This is the reason why you're here, isn't it? Amazing! So the problem is, while it's incredibly easy to identify someone else's limiting beliefs, to see that the way the other person is thinking is not necessarily the truth, and it definitely limits him and holds him back, it's harder to realize it and to identify it on ourselves because we believe it's the truth. This is why it's our belief, because we believe it's true. So most of the time, our limiting beliefs are totally blind spots for us. So how can you identify your own limiting beliefs and even loosen them just a little bit right before we crush them together, yeah? So I have a few tips for you. Tip number one is watch for the phrases I must, I ought, I cannot, it's impossible, everybody, nobody, always, impossible. All those words are signs for having beliefs. And if when you're saying these words you feel bad, and you feel like saying these words are draining energy from you, it's probably a limiting belief. I must smoke this cigarette. I cannot quit this job. Everybody is so selfish. Nobody is trustworthy. It's impossible to start a business. I always fail at this. Those were just 6 examples of limiting beliefs, and of course there are many, many, many more. And that's a very easy way to self-find and self-identify our own limiting beliefs. Tip number 2 demands a little bit more self-awareness. It also demands taking a little bit more responsibility. It's about finding those things you systematically procrastinate. Yeah, most people procrastinate some things sometimes, and it's totally normal, it's human behavior. But if you find out that you procrastinate certain type of things over and over and over and over again, it's probably a sign you have a limiting belief regarding those kind of things. For example, if you procrastinate artistic work, maybe you have a limiting belief about this artistic work of yours not being good enough, not being well received. If you always procrastinate studying, maybe you have a limiting belief about it being hard, about you not being good enough, about it limiting your freedom because you don't really want to do it. If you tend to procrastinate meetings or calls to your relatives or friends, maybe you have limiting beliefs regarding them. I worked with someone 6 years ago, and while we discussed something related to his business, he actually shared with me that he keeps on procrastinating meeting his children, which he truly loved. Which might sound absurd because I just said he loved them. And trust me, he did love them. I have a very sensitive bullshit detector, and he said the truth. When we discussed it and dug deep down into it, we discovered a limiting belief he had no idea he had. He believed that being a good father meant being able to spend a lot of money on his kids. And he had a fear, a limiting belief in the back of his head, a belief he wasn't aware of, that if he's meeting with them and like taking them to the park or somewhere that costs no money, it means he's cheap and a bad father, and he had a fear that they won't love him anymore. Of course, this belief makes no sense, but when we were digging, we found out he learned it from his parents while he was growing up as a very young child. So when we broke this limiting belief, he actually revived his relationship with his daughter, who he did not meet for almost 15 years. So yeah, limiting beliefs can go straight under our radar and cause major damage in our lives. I just created a video about procrastination a few days ago, also discussing this specific subject. So the link to that video will be listed and linked in the description and also probably up here. Tip number 3 is if you tend to get yourself into the same sort of problems over and over and over again, if you tend to get yourself into the same sort of trouble over and over again, there's probably a limiting belief there too. Once you identify your limiting beliefs, you can break them logically or you can emotionally disassociate yourself from them. Logically breaking it, meaning you should understand logically why they are completely false and why another belief, which is a positive belief, is actually true.